Welcome to Story Recap. Today I'm going to explain a 1999 drama mystery thriller film called 8mm. The opening scenes has private investigator Tom Wells returning home from a finished job with a senator. While at home, Tom is contacted by Daniel Longdale and requests to meet with Tom for a potential job. Tom arrives at a mansion and is greeted by Daniel Longdale, an attorney for a wealthy widow named Mrs. Christian, whose husband has recently died. While clearing out her late husband's safe, she and Longdale find an 8mm movie which appears to depict a real murder of a girl. Mrs. Christian is desperate to know that the girl in the film is alright and wants Tom to investigate the film and find out if the murder is real or staged. Tom watches the snuff movie in horror and agrees to do the investigating. Tom is compelled by both Longdale and Mrs. Christian not to reproduce the film in any way, and that only they need to know about the investigation. After days of looking through missing persons files at many police stations, Tom discovers the girl is Mary Ann Matthews and visits her mother, Janet, in North Carolina. While searching the house with her permission, he finds Mary Ann's diary, in which she says she went to Hollywood to become a film star. He asks Mrs. Matthews if she wants to know the truth, even if it is the worst. She says that she wants to know what happened to her daughter. In Hollywood, Tom shows Mary Ann's photo around town. He acquires the help of adult video store employee Max California, and Tom delves into the world of underground, and sometimes illegal, fetish pornography. He attempts to find out if snuff films are indeed real, or if there is anyone in this underworld who was connected to this film. All leads seem to be dead ends, with even the most promising snuff films proving to be fake. While visiting a shelter for the homeless, a nun remembers Mary Ann and gives Tom a suitcase owned by the girl. Tom finds a few phone numbers inside the suitcase, and one of the numbers leads him to a sleazy talent scout named Eddie Poole. When Tom shows Eddie a photo of Mary, Eddie says he doesn't know her. However, Tom can tell that Eddie knows the girl by the look on Eddie's face. Tom decides to tap Eddie's phone and calls Eddie, saying he knows what he and his friends did to the girl on film 6 years ago and that they will pay. As expected by Tom, Eddie gets nervous and calls someone and says they need to talk, not over the phone. The man hangs up, but Tom is able to retrieve his phone number, which leads him to director known as Dino Velvet, whose violent pornographic films star a masked man known as Machine who rapes and tortures women on film. Tom and Max fly to New York City to continue their investigation. To gain more evidence, they pretend to be a client interested in commissioning a hardcore BDSM film to be directed by Velvet and starring Machine. Velvet agrees and gives Tom a place to meet him to watch him produce the film. The meeting turns out to be an ambush. Longdale and Eddie Poole appear and hold Tom at gunpoint. It is now clear that the film was real. The truth comes out that the deceased husband, Mr. Christian, requested Longdale to procure a snuff film, and being unable to find one, he commissioned Velvet and Poole to make one. Velvet and Machine produce a bound and beaten Max, whom they abducted to force Tom to bring them the only surviving copy of the film. As Longdale and Tom go to Tom's car to retrieve the film, Longdale admits that he never thought Tom would get as far as he did, and just wanted to placate Mrs. Christian with the investigation. Once Tom delivers the film, Velvet burns it and Machine kills Max. As they are about to kill Tom, he tells them that Mr. Christian paid $1 million for the film. Velvet, Poole, and Machine received $50,000 and Longdale kept the major portion. They turn on Longdale, and in an ensuing fight, Velvet and Longdale are both killed. Tom stabs Machine in the stomach and manages to escape. Tom calls Mrs. Christian to tell her his discoveries and recommends going to the police, to which she agrees. Tom warns his already frantic wife of the impending danger and to seek shelter in a location known only to them. Arriving at the estate, Tom is told that Mrs. Christian committed suicide after hearing the news. She left envelopes for the Matthews family and Tom. It contains the rest of his payment and a note reading, "Try to forget us." Tom decides to seek justice for Mary and by killing the remaining people involved. Tom returns to Hollywood and tracks down Poole. At gunpoint, Poole takes Tom to the location where the girl was murdered. Tom wants to kill Poole, but he is hesitant. He calls Mrs. Matthews to tell her about her daughter and asks for her permission to punish those responsible. Mrs. Matthews breaks down hysterically once presented with the truth, but affirms that she loved her daughter. With that, Tom returns to Poole and beats him to death with his pistol, burning his body and the pornography from his car. Tom goes back to New York to look for Machine. He calls hospitals asking for anyone admitted with a stabbing wound and is able to discover Machine's address. Tom sneaks into Machine home with a gun, but Machine jumps out and attacks him. Machine removes his mask, revealing a bald, glasses-wearing man named George. He reveals to Tom that his sadism did not result from childhood abuse. He kills people simply because he enjoys it. They struggle, and Tom kills him. After returning to his family, Tom breaks down in front of his wife as he tries to process all of the evil that he had seen over the course of the investigation. Months later, Tom receives a letter from Mrs. Matthews, thanking him and suggesting he and she were the only ones to care about Mary Ann. We hope you have enjoyed our story recap. Subscribe and turn on notifications to see when we upload new videos. Please like the video as it helps the channel. Thank you and we'll see you soon.